think the stock could reach 100, if not more than 100.
What do you say to those investors who might say, I will not touch SMCI?
There's always risk in any investment you look at.
Gabriel, so glad to have you back on the channel to talk about SMCI. The last time we talked about this stock was kind of at the end of January when this stock was near its rock bottom, but you were still encouraging our viewers to buy. And I think if some people listen to you, they'd be doing pretty well right now.
Around the time we made that video in early February, the stock was trading around $24, $26 a share. And all of the reasons were there for the stock to stay lower. But only 2 weeks after, the stock got up to 66 1/3, nearly tripling investors' money in around 2 weeks. So how's that for a performance? Even though after that, the stock pulled back to around the low 40s, high 30s range where it is at right now. But I still think it's a great opportunity today.
Yeah, the price action on this stock has been wild over the last couple of months. And I think what's most impressive is that SMCI was going up so much while the whole rest of the market was dropping. Why is that? Why was SMCI kind of defying what the rest of the market was doing?
Well, when you look at the broader market price action, specifically the S&P 500, the market got a little bit scared about the first quarter projections for GDP growth coming out of the Fed, retail sales data, and other indicators that weren't that hot. And of course, the S&P 500's price was pricing in a lot better of an economy that we're getting today. However, when you look at SMCI, all of the worst case scenarios, I'm talking about fraud, I'm talking about the CFO, the CEO going to jail. All of that was priced in at only 23% of the stock's 52-week high. Now, since that didn't happen, there's really no reason for the stock to stay lower and go anywhere but up. So when you look at the market's perception and the voting machine that it is in the long term, I think that SMCI justified the rally and justifies an even bigger rally moving forward.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up some of the fears behind this stock. We're going to dive into that in a little bit. But first, I want to talk about why we saw such a big rally. What is it about SMCI that is helping investors kind of overlook the potential issues and really bet on the future of this company?
Right. So the main reason was that they were able to finally report their quarterly earnings. Not only the quarter, but for the entire year of 2024. So all of the fear of getting delisted in the Nasdaq for not meeting the requirements were put away. And more than that, the figures themselves, I'm talking double-digit growth across the company, really made everybody confident again on the stock. Now, there are still some fears about the accounting and about every practice that they do inside of SMCI, but I'm going to tell you something really quick without getting too complicated. There's one thing called net income, and there's another thing called cash flow. Net income, you can manipulate, but cash flow, not so much. Now, if you know what you're looking for, you can see that the free cash flow for the company is up by triple digits over the year, which is why I think the claims made out of Wall Street analysts in their EPS forecast are nothing but bullish and nothing but justifying a new rally in SMCI.
Some investors are still staying away from the stock because of those potential risks. They see some red flags in the accounting and they want to stay away. But I think the investors who are looking past those potential red flags are seeing the benefit. And so many analysts are doing that same thing right now too. Let's get into the consensus price target. It's still doing pretty well.
The current consensus price target set for SMCI is at 52.60. which is around 33% upside from where stock trades today. But I think there's a lot more where that's coming from. I think the stock could reach 100, if not more than 100, before the year ends, which isn't too far out of reality considering that the 52-week high was around $104 a share.
That's a bold call, Gabriel, but I think there are some analysts who would agree with you. The higher end of that consensus price target is close to that $100 mark. And like you said, it was pretty recently that the company was on that trajectory. Do you think SMCI has put most of those fears behind it and can get back to their upward momentum and staying on track to 100 and higher soon?
I don't think that all of the fears are out of the picture. If they really were, we'd see the stock back at 100, if not more. So I think that while those fears stick around and keep the stock under 50, under 40, or around that range, is where savvy investors could really get the advantage of this situation. And I'll tell you why. As of the second quarter of 2025, Wall Street analysts think that SMCI could push out $7.70 per share in earnings, Now, considering the PE ratio of today, which is set at 17 times, that would put the stock at around $130. And this is taking 1/4 of earnings. If you multiply that by 4, you can already do the math there and think, well, $93, $100, $130 for SMCI doesn't really cut it compared to how much upside the financials are suggesting.
That would be a huge gain for investors if they got in now, and it really did reach that high by the end of the year. We'll dive into your long-term outlook on this stock in just a little bit, but I want to get to kind of the trading heyday that this stock has had in the last couple of months. When you have this much price movement on a stock so quickly, traders are absolutely a part of this game.
Exactly. And that is why you see up to $7.2 million worth of call options being bought as of February and early March. So I think that even though the stock pulled back to the 40s range, there's a lot of money still betting behind the breakout. And remember, when people bet on call options, these options have an expiration date. So the bet should be pretty short lived, around 1 to 3 months on average. So I think that there's a catalyst coming, which might be through a new CFO announcement, a new announcement that might put away those fears and pop the stock back above the 52-week high.
And clearly, you have a bullish outlook on this stock for the long term. What makes you so confident in the long-term future of SMCI?
I'll give you 2 words: artificial intelligence. Most people think about NVIDIA, most people think about ASML and all the chip makers without realizing what those chips are actually for. And the main reason that those chips are in high demand is for data centers, where artificial intelligence models and large language models and everything else that relies on AI are being developed. Now, those data centers need a cooling system, they need a heat efficiency system, an energy efficiency system, which is where SMCI comes into play. With their liquid cooling, a new system technology for data centers, I think that the demand for AI and the success of names like NVIDIA, AMD, TSM, and all of those big players out there are going to play for a tailwind behind SMCI in the future. So speaking on that fact, you could see SMCI expanding its operations to countries like Japan and now recently the UAE. Now those countries are looking to expand their artificial intelligence footprint and all their data centers footprints to digitize their economy, to innovate their economy, and to push forward in the new race for AI. Now, all of those tailwinds, I think, are pretty big catalysts for SMCI to reach back to that 52-week high and maybe even get us past it, according to Wall Street analysts and their EPS projections.
And when it comes to AI, there's been some debate out there recently, Gabriel, that the AI investment is already past, that we're already past the demand for some of these products like the cooling systems that SMCI offers. But as you said, globally especially, this build out is far from over. In fact, it seems to be just beginning. There still is a lot of demand yet to come in the build out of all these data centers, right?
Exactly. And as they always say, nobody can see a bubble. And if everybody can see the bubble, then it's not really a bubble. So when you talk about everyone talking about AI like it's already overextended, like it's already played through, like all the growth for the future is already priced in today, I don't think that's going to play out. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if everybody knows about it, it's not likely to happen. And I think that the future of AI is here to stay. And you can see all the reasons why the market is willing to still pay a premium for all the chip makers, for the cloud computers, for the data center supporters like SMCI, and everything else that covers in this industry. So I think that the future of every single modern economy, from transportation to communications to even banking and finance, AI is going to play a vital role in the next few years.
Yeah, Gabriel, I think there are plenty of investors out there who would agree with you. The future of AI is far from over, and some say it really is just beginning. If that's you, you might want to check out our latest free report. It's 7 AI stocks to invest in today before they take off even further in the future. You can scan the QR code here or click the link that's right in the description of this video to get that free report on MarketBeat.com right now. I want to end this video, Gabriel, kind of addressing the naysayers out there. For those more fundamental investors who really just care about the details of a company and maybe the leadership of a company, how it's run, that they have all of their T's crossed and their I's dotted. What do you say to those investors who might say, I will not touch SMCI because of all of the issues it's had in the accounting and in maybe some of the trust for this company? What would you have to say to those investors?
I would say that you can only connect the dots looking backward. And when you look forward, it's impossible to figure out what's going to happen. Is there a risk? There's always risk in any investment you look at. Even Apple, even Berkshire Hathaway are risky investments when you have negative media hitting them from left and right. Now, of course, for SMCI, there is some ground. There are some questions about the accounting, and I'm not a professional accountant. I don't know what's going on inside the company, but I can read a cash flow statement and I can tell you that if there was any fraudulent activity, there would be a major discrepancy between net income and the free cash flow of the company. And there isn't. So, in my opinion, there shouldn't be any concern, especially now that the company has been able to report their quarter and is now moving forward to picking up a new head of accounting, a new CFO, and a new auditor to make sure that they stay in line. Now, with this industry, everyone does the same practice that SMCI is being accused of, which is recognizing revenue before the product is delivered. So these bookings, NVIDIA does the same, AMD does the same, and TSN does the same. Pretty much everybody else in this industry books revenue this way. Now, maybe SMCI is getting some extra attention from becoming an up-and-comer player in the industry, becoming a too big of a name in the industry. Maybe that attracted the wrong attention, but in my opinion, if there was fraud again, it would show in the financial statements, and so far, there isn't really evidence of it.
Gabriel, thank you so much for sharing your take on this stock, but we want to hear from you too. Are you one of the naysayers who says, this stock is too risky for me? Or are you jumping on the wagon, hoping like Gabriel, that this stock will get back on that 100+ trajectory soon? And be sure to check out our other video on SMCI when Gabriel made that first prediction that the stock was going to have a run up just like it's had over the last couple of months. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and as always, happy investing.